Good evening. I look forward to this day every single year because it's the only chance I get to be amongst people with smiling faces and people who are happy. And there's 300 of you tonight, which is a double the number of award winners from last year. So for me, thank you very much for being a winner. Thank you very much for being here. I hope you enjoyed the rest of the evening. I have no control over the dinner because I didn't cook it, but I'm sure it's going to be good. Before we start, I always like to start these things by talking about innovation, because without innovation, all of our organizations are dead. So, I'd like to start by talking about computer hardware innovation. About 4 weeks ago, my IT manager said, you know what, you need a new computer. Your desktop computer's getting a bit old. I said, okay, just replace it. I came into the office the next day, and I saw this little tiny device sitting on the desk. I said to him, somebody's left a hard drive. He said, no, that's your new computer. I said, no, that's not a computer. He says, that's a 1 terabyte, 16 gig Intel computer. And he says, if you're really lucky and you behave yourself, next year, we're going to give you this one. That's a computer that's this size. Now that's real innovation. And in a part of the world where everything has to be bigger, longer, and everything else, it's really nice to see things getting smaller and more powerful. And I gave some thought to this innovation and started to think to myself, well, how have we embraced innovation in the customer service industry? And I decided to look back over the years to see whether the same level of innovation has actually happened in customer service. And with that in mind, you have to remember one single thing about your organization. The customers are the only ones with the money. Nobody else has any money. So let's take a little journey back in time. So back in the 1970s, and my father told me about this, I wasn't around in those days. But in the 1970s, it was vogue for organizations to talk about delivering customer service. And in those days, there was no call centers, obviously no web. Nobody actually had a phone. Very few people had telephones in their house. You had to go to the street corner to get to a telephone. And obviously no call centers. And so I just wondered whether that was a fashion statement, the word customer service. And obviously fashion at the time in the 1970s was, our customer in those days was very trendy, had long hair, he wore high heel shoes, played a little bit of football, and continued to have long hair. I don't know where it's gone. And then we came to the 1980s, and all of a sudden customer service wasn't vogue anymore. It was customer satisfaction that was vogue. So everybody started talking about customer satisfaction. It wasn't good enough to provide service, we had to provide satisfaction. The Americans come up with a satisfaction index that's still in place to this day. British government started getting government departments focused on satisfaction. So everybody was talking about satisfaction as the latest fashion. And obviously in the fashion stakes, our intrepid customer changed a little bit in his fashion and lost a bit of weight and lost a bit of hair, but he's still the customer, so we still had to look after him. Then we got to the 1990s, and the latest fashion then was customer loyalty. It was no longer service, no longer satisfaction, it had to be loyalty. And we had to make sure that our customers were satisfied enough to be loyal to our brand, to be loyal to our organization. And the fashion statement in the 90s wasn't very good. But if you ever get a chance to go and see where the Wright brothers actually made the first flight, that's real innovation. And so that was me at the Wright brothers launch place in North Carolina. And then we came the 2000s, and all of a sudden people were talking about no longer loyalty, it was customer engagement. And we started to see customer engagement officers. We'd had service managers, customer satisfaction managers, loyalty managers, now we've got engagement managers. And all about making that engagement with the customer a profitable one for the business and for the organization. And that was just around the time that I moved to the Middle East, and I decided that wearing my skirt wouldn't look out of place, because a lot of you guys wear skirts. But still, the customer was moving with the times and moving with the fashion. In 2010, we started seeing an onslaught of customer experience. So service had been put to one side, satisfaction had been put to one side, loyalty, engagement, and now it was all about customer experience. And how can organizations join everything up and deliver that experience? And obviously our fashion statement started to get a little bit more wealthier, and I could afford a pair of shoes and a nice jacket. And then we got to 2016, and all of a sudden the world started going customer happiness crazy. And obviously we're in a part of the world where everybody needs to be happy because the government's told us we need to be happy. But the whole world has gone happiness crazy. And I'm putting this down to these. So I was, like many of you, like a few of you in the room, I was a baby boomer. So I was born in the 1950s. And baby boomers, we actually are the responsible people for producing the millennials, because they're our children. So I've got 5 children who are millennials. And I was asked recently, what makes them happy? I said, I have no idea. But I do know what makes them unhappy. Take the telephone off them. Remove the mobile phone, and that makes them really unhappy. And what you should do, if you've got some children who have a mobile phone, do what I used to do. I used to do it before they beat me up. But what I used to do was I used to hide the mobile phones. In the first minute they realized the phone was missing, there was trauma. In the second minute, there was screams. In the third minute, they were nearly ringing 999 to call the police. The phone had disappeared. So these new millennials are different to the rest of us. They love things. They love brands. They love Starbucks. They love Costa. They love McDonald's. But see, if they don't love you, they hate you. And the power of social media means that not only do they hate you, they've got the power of telling millions of other people that they hate your brand. And this is a huge challenge for all of our organizations to work within the confines of how technology is innovating and giving people the power to communicate. And obviously our intrepid customer has been multiplying, and there's lots of customers who are baby boomers my age with a lot of income to spend. And so all of a sudden people are taking an interest in us as customers. So if you consider that as a sort of little tiny journey, what's going to happen next? Maybe in 2020 we'll be talking about customer value. If the customer's the only person with the money, surely it's about making sure we provide value for that money. So I'm not a gambling person, so I'm not going to put any money on the fact that by 2020 everybody will be talking about customer value. But in 2009 I published a book called Value Moments. Discover what your customers really value, then deliver it. And that statement was as good today as it will be in 20, 30, 40 years. If you don't actually know what your customers want, what chance have you got of delivering it? So by looking over the past 50 years and looking at these fashion solutions, has anything actually changed? Have we become better at delivering a better service to our customers? Are we better at delivering what they want? So you should give that some thought. And maybe if we were to join it all up together, it would mean that service creates satisfaction, generates loyalty by engaging customers through an experience that makes them happy and provides value for the customer and the organization. I would proudly say that I came up with that, but my mentor, Phil Forrest, came up with the sentence, and I really liked it, so it's now Ethos's. And if you don't agree with anything I've said, you can actually ring my customer complaints department. And the gentleman on your left or your right, the guy that looks like a boxer, he'll answer the telephone because he's our enforcer. The point I was trying to make in that little stint there was that you really need to focus on what it is you think you're delivering to your customers. What is it that they expect from you? And gone are the days where you should wait till the end of the year and ask them. You need to be asking them all the time, finding ways of establishing what it is they want. Some of the things that Ethos has been doing for the past 12 months. 12 months ago, I told you we were launching something called Mapivate. Mapivate's a journey mapping software solution, which we've now been selling here. We've got clients in the UK and clients in South Africa. That's being enhanced all the time. Our knowledge track survey solution, which is multilingual, is being enhanced. So this year it will introduce predictive analytics to it, text and sentiment analysis, as well as topic extraction. So we're making it a machine learning-based mobile app. In addition to that, my team been doing some great work with a lot of our clients in helping them implement the government 7-star rating system, along with the customer service standard that we implement around the world now. In fact, we've got clients like Gatwick Airport, the National Health Service in the UK, the National Health Service in Australia, have all implemented the customer service standard, similar to some of your organizations here today. So the Ethos team has been busy with a number of clients in that regard, and we're very hopeful that one of our clients will actually get a 6-star rating very soon from the Prime Minister's office. So we're looking forward to that day. Something that we've been working on for a long time is how do you measure social media? So we've launched a product called Horizons, which is a social media listening solution. I don't know whether you know this, but I can actually, if I find out what your Twitter handle is, I can tell you what you've been doing for the past 5-10 years on social media. So we're able to access that type of data from 100,000 plus websites and virtually every social media platform with the exception of a couple. And we were able to produce reports of value to organizations to help them understand whether the social media that they're implementing and being proactive on is actually of value, and they're getting value for that return. So Horizons is a product we've launched recently, as is a solution called ServDAC. And ServDAC is a social media benchmarking tool that we've developed. And for the past 6 months, we didn't tell anybody, but for the past 6 months, we've been benchmarking all of the banks in the UAE. We've been benchmarking their social media activity to understand what they were doing, why they were doing it, the benefit of that, the sentiment that was coming into that social media activity. So our ServDAC product allows organizations to benchmark themselves with other organizations. A really powerful tool. And in addition to that, we are shortly to launch something called Vector 6. Vector 6 is an employee happiness tracking solution that actually sits within inside our knowledge track, mystery shopping, and survey component. And you may think that happiness is something that is new, that somebody's created. Well, Phil Forrest developed Vector 6 in the mid-1980s. We were measuring happiness. I was measuring happiness with a bank in the UK in 1989. So we've taken Phil's Vector 6 model, updated it, remodeled it, and that product will be available very shortly okay, sorry, they told me one click and this would work. So those of you that use Knowledge Track for mystery shopping or surveys, Vector 6 sits inside there, so you'll be able to get access to that. So I'm going to leave with one message, and that is about leadership and innovation when it comes to leadership. We see a lot of things in this country. The government produces a lot of opportunity for young people to become leaders. I've been on the periphery of this for many years, and about 12 months ago, 2 very prominent Emirati gentlemen said to me, look, we want to do something around leadership and team building and teamwork for young people, school-age people. What do you think we should do? And so they sent me a task. And I had no hesitation in recommending something called Outward Bound. The Outward Bound concept, you've probably never heard about it. It was created 75 years ago. And the best way to position it is schools and colleges provide learning. Adventure schools provide adventure. But Outward Bound provides learning and adventure in equal measure. More than 250,000 young people around the world attend an Outward Bound program somewhere in the world. And it's recently been launched in the UAE. And the 2 Emirati gentlemen that founded Outward Bound UAE asked me if I could be the chairman of the board, which I was privileged to accept. And so now I'm running a not-for-profit organization, as well as another company that is for profit. And I hope I don't get them mixed up, because somebody won't be happy at the end of the year. But the thing with Outward Bound is it gives young people a great opportunity So why did I think Outward Bound would be successful in this country? Well, if you look at the picture, the little guy at the bottom left-hand side, as you look at the picture, is me in 1975, when I was sent on an Outward Bound course in the north of Scotland. And that, for me, I didn't realize it at the time, but that changed my life in terms of my capabilities. I ended up doing mountain climbing when I'm scared of heights. I ended up sailing on boats when I'm scared of water. I was able to do things that I never thought I'd be able to do. So for me, it was easy to make that recommendation to set up Outward Bound in the UAE. To give you an example of the benefit, this is what happened on Monday morning in Ras Al Khaimah in the hills. This is a group of young 16, 17-year-old boys from Al Nada School in Abu Dhabi. And we asked them before they went out on their journey what they thought they were going to be doing.
My name is Mohammed Mullas, and I'm from Nada National School. And,
Well, Mohammed, why did you choose to come on the Outward Bound course?
of course, for experience, having the best time with my classmates, and like learning new things and testing myself. Like, how far will I go?
Brilliant. What are you looking forward to this week?
Actually, camping and like teamwork, helping my teammates if they need any help or any sort of anything.
Okay, 6 hours later, this is the same young boy.
So how have you found today?
Well, so far it's been amazing. Just helping other people, helping my teammates. This adventure, so far, it's like not as hard as I thought it would be, but like it's just like amazing. Just like the view and nature, just like so far, it's just amazing.
Brilliant. What have you learnt this afternoon?
Learned that I can rely on myself. I never thought I would do that, but like I did. And the most important thing, teamwork. What I've learned is that if you actually like help people, you can like do such like more things faster.
Nice. And how can you use that back at school, do you think?
For example, if you had like projects, I can like tell my friends we can do it a lot faster. If I had like an exam, we all can like teach, like study together to get better marks, just like that. Yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you.
When he's 21, I'm going to hire him. That's a 17-year-old boy. As a child, that's actually able to say more than I see in many of the corporations we work with. 17 years of age. And 6 hours after he joined, he's already, he's got another 3 days to go. They're camping overnight in the hills. They're doing all sorts of different learning and adventure activities combined. And for me, Outward Bound was a major recommendation for the country. I'd like you to consider this as a concept, because the way in which Outward Bound runs around the world is that and the CEO of Outward Bound International is with us this evening from Scotland. And the way in which this runs in nearly 40 countries around the world is that organizations sponsor young people to go on an Outward Bound course. There are many young people that don't have, their family don't have the funds to pay for it. So in your pack when you leave tonight, there's a brochure on Outward Bound. And if you feel that your company can sponsor some children, that's fantastic. If, however, you think that you would like to attend an Outward Bound course and your company would like to send its staff on an Outward Bound course, you would see major benefits. I sent my staff on an Outward Bound course. When they came back, we ended up finding that the programmers were speaking to the marketing people who were speaking to the operations people. I've never found programmers that talk to anybody. And after 4 days in the desert, instead of grunting and saying no and you can't have it on time, they're saying yes, good morning, and yes, it will be ready by the end of the week. It's amazing transformation. So have a look at the brochure and see if that fits. And to help you in that respect, tonight, because of the awards, I'm going to sponsor 6 organizations to send 12 of their staff on an Outward Bound course. So Ethos will fund that. I've told my wife that she's only having bread and butter for the next 6 weeks because we can't really afford it. But so it'll be 3 government clients, 3 government winners, and 3 private sector winners who will be chosen by Ian. And we have a lady from the Scottish Development International with us tonight from the British Embassy, and she's going to do the draw with Ian to draw the winners after the dinner. Thanks very much for listening.